covered when traveling on the TTC. Please make sure both your nose and mouth are covered throughout the entire duration of your trip. Subway service on a portion of Line 1 between Sheppard-Yonge and Untitled Station will end at 11 p.m. tonight for tunnel and signal upgrades. Shuttle buses will run. TTC.ca for more information. Looking for a new career? The TTC is holding a Minute and Transit Operator Virtual Information Session on November 24th from 1 to 3 p.m. Visit ttc.ca/join to register.
Greetings, folks. Today is Thursday, November 5th. It is 4:21 p.m. and the temperature outside is 16 degrees Celsius. I'm here at Sheppard-Yonge Subway Station in North York. And the plan for this one is to head out onto Yonge Street, and then I'll find my way down to Sheppard Avenue East, where I will walk east for about 5.5 kilometers along the entire length of the, for some reason the stairs on the right have an arrow saying to go down, and the stairs on the left have an arrow saying to go up. That's rather counterintuitive. Although the ones on the right side here say to go out. So as I was saying, I will be walking east along the entire length of the Line 4 Sheppard Line. There's a look north up Yonge Street. This area is known as Willowdale, and this is the intersection of Yonge and Sheppard right here. So I'm now walking east along Sheppard Avenue East. And just on the other side of Yonge Street is Sheppard Avenue West. And you could walk straight all the way to Sheppard West Subway Station. That was the Line 1 northbound subway that I took to get here and just got off. So that wasn't the Line 4 platform that I started on. Although you can, of course, transfer to Line 4 in that station. And as luck would have it, my shoe is untied. I think this is the second time I've recorded a walk recently where this has happened. Let me just place the camera down and tie it back up. Here we go. All nice and tied back up. It's yet another gloomy, overcast day here in the city of Toronto. Although at 16 degrees, it's actually quite nice out. Also, I'm recording this walk with my new DJI Pocket 2. This is just the third video I've recorded with this camera. This here is Doris Avenue. Just playing with the zoom on this camera. I did figure out how to slow it down a bit. It makes it a bit nicer to use. And this is actually the first time I've ever recorded a video along Sheppard Avenue on this channel. I haven't even recorded a cycling video. I did try to do a live stream along this part of Sheppard, I think about 2 weeks ago. But I ran into a coverage black hole where my streaming provider, TELUS, didn't have a strong enough signal to maintain a 1080p live stream. So after the stream died, I changed plans and just went north on Yonge Street. I actually had this route planned as a bike ride, but I was kind of eager to film some more walks with this new camera, so I decided to cover it as a walking video. According to Google, this walk should take somewhere around an hour and 15 minutes, so I think that'll be a pretty good test of this camera's battery. I tend to walk a little faster than what Google says the walk should take. Here's a trio of old homes that look like they're slated for demolition. This is certainly a very car-centric part of the city. And the next subway stop on line 4 I should be coming across is Bayview. Sheppard-Yonge to the west of here is the terminal station. So line 4 runs for 4 stations to the east, or sorry, 5 stations, Sheppard-Yonge, and then it should be Bayview, and then Bessarion, which is the second least used station in the entire TTC subway network. Then after Bessarion should be Leslie Station. And then at the end of the line at Fairview Mall is Don Mills Station. I believe the subway line was opened in 2002. And you might be wondering, why would they build just a 5-stop subway line? And the answer to that is, it is only a part of what was originally planned. I think the original plans were for the subway to terminate at what was Downsview Station and is now Sheppard West Station. That's to the west, and then it would run east all the way to Scarborough Centre. So the western portion of the subway line was completely axed. And it only got funding to go as far as Fairview Mall. So that's why we have this rather underutilized, stumpy subway line. This certainly doesn't strike you as the type of street that would be a good candidate to have a subway line. I guess the idea was that it would intensify quite significantly once it was built. And the subway line itself almost wasn't built. There were 2 subways being planned in the early 90s, one that would run along Eglinton West. That one was canceled entirely due to budget reasons. And the line that we're walking along now was almost canceled, but instead it was severely reduced. And that is in part, well, it's probably entirely why it's so underutilized right now. Although we are walking by what looks to be a number of new condo developments that are popping up along this stretch. And you know you're in a suburban area whenever you see a strip mall and the parking is in front of the building, in between the main street and the plaza. That's certainly not a design that lends itself to an urban environment. This is Willowdale Avenue. Perhaps I'll cross the street here. There's a look back west towards the towers of Sheppard-Yonge, where I started. This is the type of suburban style development I'm not particularly a fan of in the city. Then again, at one point in time, this area was purely a suburb. Gangnam Sushi, Korean and Japanese restaurant. And there's a Wimpy's Diner here. You don't see too many of those kicking around any longer. And this is Sheppard East Park. And I'm over 16 minutes into this video and I haven't even walked past the next subway station. In downtown, you can often walk just 5 minutes or so before you get to the next station. You could go from King to Queen in just a couple of minutes, and then a few more minutes up to Dundas, and then College, Wellesley, and Bloor. I guess it's understandable that they're more spread out. Well, they've got a Popeyes. That's certainly a big positive for this area in my books. There's a place called Vietnam's Pho and Street Food. Of course, the big news for restaurants and places that offer dine-in service is that they will be able to resume that as of November 14th. There's a driver that for some reason sees it fit to block the sidewalk. For a street with a subway line, there's certainly not much in the way of pedestrians or cyclists. I don't think I've seen a single cyclist. We are, of course, still in the middle of a pandemic. But it is 4:30, so this would be around the start of the afternoon, evening rush hour. And just a full disclosure, I have no memory of being on this part of Sheppard before. I'm sure at some point in my life I've traveled down Sheppard Avenue East. But I haven't come this way to record a video for the channel, nor have I had any reason to come this way in recent years. I guess I could have done some homework or walked it on Google Maps Street View before I recorded this walk, but I kind of like the idea of flying blind. We're kind of exploring it together. There's the People's Church. Is that an apartment building right beside it? What is that? So I think a few blocks to the east here will be Bayview Avenue, where we'll find the second subway station along line 4, which would be Bayview. It's my understanding that there are plans to extend the subway line east to Sheppard and McCowan, which would be just north of Scarborough Town Centre, which is a large shopping mall in Scarborough. There's been some debate as to whether or not the line should be completed as an above-ground LRT. And to be honest, it probably should have been built as an LRT in the first place, or they just should have built the whole subway line. As you can see, there's still buses running along Sheppard. As anyone that probably doesn't live within 5 to 10 minutes walking of one of these stations would be much better served by just taking the bus. Which is one of the reasons why subways don't work so well in less developed areas like this. Also, just to the south of here is Highway 401, which is North America's busiest highway that runs parallel along Sheppard. And finally, we're at the second subway station. This is Bayview Avenue. So you could take this south, and that'll run all the way down to Lakeshore Boulevard. Well, pretty much. I think it ends at the Corktown Commons in the Canary District, so just a few blocks short of Lakeshore. But it's a relatively quick north to south route across the city. There's a couple of entrances to Bayview Station on either side of Bayview Avenue across the street there. Perhaps I'll cross over and take a closer look. There's a look. Southbound Bayview towards the Highway 401. This condo's got kind of a funky design to it. So Bayview, as I mentioned, is the second stop from Sheppard-Yonge on Line 4. And of the well over 70 subway stations in Toronto, it is the 11th least used subway station. I think during non-pandemic times, there's a little under 9,000 people per day that pass through it, which isn't particularly good ridership. And the next stop I'll be walking by is Bessarion, which is formerly the least used subway station in the city, but now it's the second least used. I did a video through there a few weeks ago. And those towers lurking in the background there are the NY towers. That's a large residential complex built by Daniels. And the tops of those buildings are inspired by the Chrysler and Empire State Buildings. There's 9 of them in total. And I think there's a 10th building planned on the way. Those went up between 2002 and 2009. And just on the left is Bayview Village Shopping Center, a place I have only ever heard about. I've never actually been inside. Perhaps one day I'll come here and record a video through there. I probably won't, but let's never say never. And these NY condos, which are currently obscured by this building here, seem to be a bit disproportionate. They look kind of short and stumpy. And I think the reason for that is they were originally planned to be much taller than they are. But Toronto has seemingly endless waves of NIMBYs that come out and fight every new development. And I think back in the 2000s, they were seen as somewhat controversial, and the developer had to reduce their height quite significantly. And while they may be kind of tacky, I think they would have looked much better if they're about 10, 15 stories taller per building. It's really kind of unfortunate. And especially with the subway line here, a taller development that offered better density certainly would have been more appropriate, at least in my opinion. Let's just cross over to the south side here. Feel free to fact check me on that and correct me in the comments if that is not true, but they certainly look kind of short and squat to me, and I think that's the reason. At least the immediate area around Bayview Station has more of an urban feel to it. And this is the KEB Hana Bank of Canada. I used to have a KEB bank account when I lived in Korea. That's kind of interesting. They were sort of the preferred bank for Waegugins, which means foreigners. My first bank in Korea was a bank called Shinhan, but there's a KEB branch in Itaewon where they had fluent English-speaking tellers. There goes an idiot. It's really absolutely no need to hammer the gas on a turn like that. So when you're paying your bills and doing your banking, it's certainly very comfortable to have an English-speaking branch when you're in a foreign country. And I imagine most of these new developments in this area are here because of the subway line. So the next stop should be Bessarion. And it's only 4:51, but it's already starting to get dark, as we recently lost an hour. For some reason, we do that at this time of year. I guess someone likes to burn a lot of extra electricity keeping the lights on by making it get dark extra early. It's really kind of stupid in my opinion. But this should be a pretty good test of the new camera. There's a place called Monkey King. Personal Training Club. Well, that's a place that's not currently allowed to operate. Church in Toronto. Certainly not a very specific name. They live stream and have Zoom sessions. It's not a very traditional looking church either, although right next door there seems to be one. It's certainly a lot more modern looking than a lot of the more grand style churches you find in the city. That's the International School of Christian Education. There's some rather oblivious people. There's a Canada Post outlet. So just up ahead should be Bessarion Station. As I mentioned, I did film a video through here not too long ago. Perhaps I'll link to it in the description. Perhaps I won't. And just in behind Bessarion is one of the larger planned residential communities in the city of Toronto. A developer named Concord Attics is behind it. They're the same people who built City Place, which is the large condo development around Fort York. They're also behind a lot of the glass towers you'll see dotting the Vancouver skyline. So this is Bessarion Road, the station will get its name from. And it seems to come to a dead end there at Highway 401. Good job, Mr. Driver. There's another very suburban style shopping plaza across the street and a rather large mountain equipment co-op. Sorry if I'm fiddling with the zoom, I'm still getting the hang of this camera. So in this development will be somewhere around 17 schools. Sorry, 17 buildings, a couple of schools, a community center, and whatever else they build as part of it. The buildings seem to be kind of concentrated down towards Highway 401, which is a bit unfortunate. Well, there's a very large gathering going on in a field out there. So when all is said and done, this little area around Bessarion might have its own little skyline cluster. Toronto as a city seems to be springing up clusters of large towers pretty much everywhere. The main one being, of course, the financial district. And Yonge Street is slowly filling in, as is Bay Street, all the way up to Bloor. So there's pretty much a north to south skyline now throughout most of the downtown area, or at least central downtown area. And then Yonge and Eglinton has developed a rather impressive skyline. And the area in Willowdale, where I started this walk from Sheppard up to Finch, has a pretty impressive skyline. And then there's one in Mimico, just in front of Lake Ontario. And well off into the distance here, I think that is Scarborough Town Center. It's kind of blocked by these trees, but there's a number of large condo towers. Toronto actually has more high-rises under development than New York City or any other city in North America. And it's been that way for quite a while. Here's a Canadian Tire. And a Mark's Work Warehouse, which is a men's clothing store. I've never actually met anyone who ever shopped there. So I should be over halfway through this walk. There's just 2 more subway stations to go. The next one should be Leslie, which I understand to be not that far from Bessarion, so it actually should be not that far at all until I get there. I think the other side of the street might give a nicer view of the skyline looming in the background. Maybe that isn't Scarborough Town Center. That looks a little close to be that. I've said it before, I don't have the greatest familiarity with the east end of the city. JNY Chinese cuisine. There's the look west along Sheppard. There goes the cyclist. He's hauling pretty good. And I'd note that he opted to take the entire lane, which is probably a wise decision on a road like this where cars are going this fast. If you stick to the right, you'll have to contend with a number of motorists passing you dangerously, not leaving enough distance. So just up ahead here should be Leslie Station, which will leave us just one more stop to go until I get to Don Mill Station. However, I think the next stop will be quite far from here. And this is a stop I've never been to before. Actually, that's not correct. I believe I took the subway one stop here on my Bessarion video, and I came through here. So that means I've been through all of the stations, but the one at the end here, Don Mills, on this walk. So that'll be the first time I get to check out that station, so I can check off all of the Line 4 stations off the list. There's the 85 Sheppard East bus. To Old Leslie Street. There's a hospital in the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine. I wonder if that is at odds with a traditional hospital. So this is Leslie Street here, and then I think just after that will be the Don River. I'll be walking over, and then it'll be Highway 404, which runs alongside Fairview Mall just up ahead, I believe, although I don't think I'll be passing over that on this walk. And just south of the 401, it becomes the Don Valley Parkway. And that is North York General Hospital. Let's go this way and see if I can catch a view. Hopefully there's a way out of here. I think that's the Don River down there.
Spare a few here.
Take another look. Who would have thought we would have got some nature vistas in on this walk? There are sometimes, or some walks I do that I think I'll definitely come back and redo this one at a different time of year, or just at a different time of day. I'll do it as a morning walk and a night walk. This is one of those walks that I think I'll be good for a while. It's the Barrie Sutherland Trail. This might be worth exploring on the bicyclette. This looks like it's a rather long, slightly uphill stretch along Sheppard. And I forgot to mention, but I think back at Leslie Station there is a connection to the Go Bus, which is a commuter bus. That would be the Barrie line. Barrie is a city well north of Toronto. You almost have to wonder if these buses are really adding much more time than a trip along the subway. Perhaps someone can chime in if during non-pandemic times, if the rush hour traffic on this street is significantly busier. If it was, then I would say the subway makes sense. But if it was like this, given that you could just run express buses between the major streets and have non-express buses make all the stops along the way, perhaps a dedicated bus lane might have been a significantly more cost-effective decision that would have actually served the people better. Of course, I'm no city planner, and I typically side with developing subways wherever possible, but the fact that they built this before a relief line downtown, or an east to west line that would go across King or Queen, or even the Eglinton West line, which was canceled, this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Thank you. This style of condo here is referred to as towers in the park. That's when you have a condo development that doesn't front the street in any type of urban way. It's just kind of set back. There are places where that type of development is appropriate, such as along a major highway. But if you could turn back time, I would hope the city planners wouldn't allow them to build it that way in present day. It's certainly not a very forward-thinking design for the city. Sorry to be injecting my opinions a little bit more than usual on this walk. There's really just not a whole lot to talk about. It's kind of, I don't want to say bleak, but when people ask, why don't you go record walks out in Brampton, or someone was telling me I film Toronto too much and I need to go out to Aurora in the comments. That's because once you get outside of the small clusters of activity, most of those places look and feel a lot like this. And I kind of think of my channel as being a bit more urban exploration based. When I travel, I tend to gravitate towards very large cities that have a whole lot of exploring to offer. Tokyo and Bangkok are easily two of my favorite. I also quite enjoyed Taipei, and Kaohsiung was neat. Busan and Osaka are kind of neat secondary cities to explore. You might notice a theme where they're mostly in Asia. And I'd love to go back and film Hanoi and Saigon in Vietnam. I think that would be a great way to get a nice vacation in and explore some incredible cities. But thanks to this pandemic, that's not going to be possible. And it looks like there's a big long stretch of nothing straight ahead, folks. So if you're still watching this video at this point, all I can say is thank you. I certainly wouldn't blame you for falling asleep. It's kind of a neat sky way in the background, right on the horizon there. I certainly can't think of a better way to spend my Thursday evening than walking along Sheppard Avenue East. Although if you were to live right at one of these subway stations, I don't think it would be so bad. You'd have relatively good access to the rest of the city, and the areas around the subway station seem to have nice amenities and are fairly well equipped. It's just these stretches in between them. I guess bleak is the word that comes to mind. Shaughnessy Boulevard. I'm just assuming that's how you pronounce it. I've probably heard that name in a TV commercial as a kid or something, and it's stuck. And it looks like I should easily have enough battery to make it all the way to Don Mills Station. It's 5:17 p.m. and look how dark it is. Maybe just for the heck of it, I'll cross the street here. Do I have to press the button? Am I going to get a walk sign? There we go. This car turning left's going to have to wait. Sorry about that. Although this is certainly a good test of the camera's twilight performance. I will perhaps do a review of the camera and compare it to the Osmo Pocket 1 at some point. There's certainly been a lot of people asking about it in the comments. I don't have the Creator Combo. This is just the regular Pocket 2. The Creator Combo is not actually available in Canada. I haven't seen it listed for sale anywhere. And I know some people in the US who told me that their Creator Combos were delayed, but they could get the normal Pocket 2, which is what I have. Maybe I'll put that review on the Stumbles channel. But the sky's a pretty neat shade of blue right now, and it looks like on the viewfinder the camera's picking it up. My plan for the live stream I was going to do was to start at Sheppard-Yonge and walk east all the way to Fairview. But I don't think this would have been a particularly good route to do a live stream. So I think I will scratch that idea. I might not even record this as a bike ride. If an alien just appeared on The sidewalk, they might be confused as to what kind of life form lives here. So all you see is these rectangles with wheels rolling down the street. This is the St. Timothy Catholic School. Hey, I had something to talk about. So the subway line is 5.5 kilometers. I would assume due to the inefficiencies in my walking, this walk is probably closer to 6 kilometers. There's the 85 Sheppard East. Maybe that's a video idea. I could jump on that bus at Fairview, you record how long it took, and then jump on the subway and record how long that took and compare the two. It's certainly not the kind of content I normally make. There's some kind of flashing light just up ahead here. Or I think it might just be cars rounding this corner. And just like that, folks, we seem to have found signs of civilization again. We're still in North York. Scarborough doesn't start until Victoria Park. These are the towers I mistook for being Scarborough Town Center. I don't know what I was thinking when I said that. And if this is Don Mills Road here, we should find Fairview Shopping Mall on the left, and if you were to turn right, I think this will take you down past the Ontario Science Centre. I'd be willing to bet that I am the only person all day to walk this distance along Sheppard Avenue. In fact, I would take that bet all year, maybe. The city does run buses when the subway is shut down. The Blue Night buses. And Sheppard is served by a bus line anyways. That's kind of a nice shot. I'm always on the lookout for thumbnail-worthy shots. Hey, Don Mills, folks. And there's a ton of condos going up in this area. Let's see if this second car decides to wait for me. Well, that's very unnecessary. I hope he feels extra cool about that. There's Fairview Mall. I will cross to the other side of the street just as I see some stores that might be kind of interesting to walk by. Way off into the distance there is Sheppard-Yonge, where I started. And if you're curious, at some point in the future, I will come do a walk through this shopping mall, which is obscured by the parking structure. I've only been to that mall a handful of times in my lifetime. Don't really have any reason to go there. But it looks like I'm about 7 or 8 minutes faster than Google said I should be. I'll take that as a minor victory. Don't really know if it's worth walking further north here to get a look at the shopping mall. Let me just throw on a mask before I go into the subway station. There we go. We are all masked up, folks. Okay. So this is the terminal station. There's a elevator for improved accessibility. That's a feature you'll find in most of the new stations, if not all of them. Sorry, my gimbal seemed to have been pointing down since I spun it around. That would be the entrance to Fairview Mall. So as this is the terminal station, trains on either side of the platform will be heading west. Well, I hope you enjoyed this walk down Sheppard Avenue East from Sheppard-Yonge Station all the way to Don Mill Station. There are links to my Patreon if you wish to support the channel in the description below, as well as my Instagram account. And you could also alternatively check out channel memberships on the main page. Looks like my mask isn't level. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you on the next one.